Hello and welcome. My name is Sanjay Soni. Here's a microlearning readiness video.
Yeah, so now we have all the ingredients. We got all the pieces. We need to put them together. So we've got big data, way to solve big data, virtualization, containers, Kubernetes, and now, ta-da, Windows run, or excuse me, SQL runs on those containers. So we have all the pieces we need, right? So here we go. Let's talk about it. You remember this guy, right?
Yes.
This is the slide where I showed all the a generic Kubernetes cluster, and we said, wow, look at that. You know, it's got a data layer, it's got a processing layer, and it's got a control layer. We could use that, so we did. Oh. We took Kubernetes, we installed a control plane, a compute plane, and a data plane. So if you think about that diagram we had for the MapReduce stuff before,
yes.
the Hadoop stuff.
Yes.
This is the same thing, except the top part would be the compute plane, the bottom part would be the data plane, and the middle part would be the control plane. But I want to talk about the control plane first because now we're talking about Kubernetes. So in Kubernetes, we know we have our Kubernetes master. That's the same. That doesn't change. And this is in black, as you can see here, meaning Microsoft didn't write that.
Right.
But then we went ahead and installed SQL Server. We called it a master instance.
Okay.
And it's just regular old everyday SQL Server.
Okay.
Would you like me to prove that?
Sure.
Yeah, prove it. All right, here we go. Let's
demo. Yeah.
Let's go to a demo. So here I'm using a standard Azure Data Studio tool, but this could be SQL Server Management Studio as well. It's just SQL. It's just SQL Server. It's just regular old SQL Server. So I can run a query, and we'll look at all these queries here in a bit, but look at here, I can pop up this, and look, we've got databases, and databases have tables, and tables have columns and rows, and so it's just SQL.
I remember this from 6.5 or 7.
Yeah, this is just regular old, regular old SQL Server. I can hit it with SQL CMD, I can hit it with whatever I need to do that. So the neat thing here is this is just SQL Server in Kubernetes running in a container on a node. There we go. And look, you can see our persistent storage right there and so on. So the first part is solved. We now have SQL Server running in a distributed fashion, or at least on a distributed platform inside Kubernetes. But wait, there's more. You have to look at this thing, right? There's some way you got to look at it. Yeah. And so what we've done is, the orange thing you can see we wrote a cluster administration portal. Yeah. And then we use a couple of open source products, Grafana and Kibana. You want to see it?
Sure.
You want to see it? I love showing stuff on. All right, let's go to here. So you remember our containers here. We made a portal, and you can see it here. Look at that. So there's your controller service and the number of pods. Now you know what a pod is and so on. You can see all of our various, look at there, master instance, and I'm going to describe these others in a moment. And then I said there was Grafana and Kibana. So I can actually go into and click on the master instance, and I can see the Kubernetes part of the master instance, the SQL part of the master instance, or all of its logs. Let me show you. We'll come back to this again. But look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? This is the Kubernetes part. Well, you're looking at the host node for our node pool. There it is. This is the sort of the Kubernetes view, and there's look at all the stuff you can show. I mean, just all kinds of information we can show in here about these things, all due to those open source projects. Fantastic. Now, this is the Kubernetes part, but I want to look at the SQL Server part. So we made another Grafana dashboard, and here's your batch requests, your wait stats, memory brokers, all those kinds of the things we know and love from SQL Server, right? And the cat team helped us build all this, and so all your good stuff is in here, and you can add things, and yes, you can export it to Excel. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. And then we've even got the logs, and this is Kibana, not Grafana, and these logs are completely searchable, and I can go find out what's going on at a moment's notice. All right, back to slide world. Yeah, so hopefully those are useful to see that. That's this part right here that I've got going over here. And then of course we're not done. There's ways to talk into this thing. Now, this is going to become more interesting in a moment, and I'm kind of hitting you with everything, and then we're going to sort of drill in a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So maybe what I want to do is I want to use the data scientists, and they use something called Jupyter Notebooks, Jupyter Notebooks. And these are runnable cell web-based interfaces where you type in some text, or you type Python code or R code, or now with Microsoft, you have SQL Server kernels available. You type that in, you hit a button, and it runs. They don't go to SQL Server directly. They want to live in their world of Jupyter Notebooks. And so the Knox Gateway helps us do that. And I'll show you what these other parts do in a moment. So if you think about this being the sort of I know where everything is and it's just SQL, and this is my management interface, we've really only made you light up two things, SQL Server Master and the Cluster Administration Portal. That's it. Okay. Those are the only two things you have to touch. If you're a data scientist, you would only touch your Jupyter Notebooks and come in through the Knox Gateway. All right? So let's build out the rest of this. What if I'd like to query data, we talked about this earlier, in a distributed fashion? We have this idea that we're thinking about called a compute pool. And these are more SQL servers, as you can see, in pods on a node.
Yes.
And they just lay out, right? They just lay out, and they are available. You don't talk to them. You talk to the master instance. That's all you have to worry about. It talks to them.
I see.
When it knows it needs to do some work, it goes out and handles. So I'm on a team with Anna Thomas and Bob Ward.
Of course.
And when you give me a question or work to do, I give it to them and they go do the work. That's the way. So I'm kind of like the master. I'm like the master instance. Yeah. Okay. I'm also the oldest on the team. So so what about though? I want to query data. We talked about this. That's somewhere else. Like I want to go get the weather data or inventory from some other system like Teradata or Oracle or whatever it happens to be. We've got this idea. You probably heard of Polybase before.
Of course,
yeah.
with SQL Data Warehouse.
That's right.
I was
right.
a data warehouse PW seller before.
Get out. Really?
Yeah, technical.
Oh,
TSP.
wow. So you're familiar with this.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't, the sort of the Polybase allows you to write Transact SQL against a table, and the table's kind of not real. We call it a virtual table. You can see it's the empty can on this diagram.
Yes.
The actual table definition is stored in the master instance, but when I query it, there's certain commands within that table that says, really, I'm somewhere else. And so I could go talk to an Oracle system from SQL, combine all that data with HDFS, let's say, and an internal SQL table all at once. And as our final demo, we'll put everything together. We'll do all that at once. The neat thing is I don't have to install Aura Listener. I don't have to install client software or anything like that myself. That's all just handled. That's all just handled. So it's really kind of an amazing technology.
So Polybase in SQL Server 2019.
Yeah, yeah. The interesting thing is sometimes I want to keep that data. In other words, I've queried it and I get back a response. I'm like, that's very nice. I'd like to store that. Because those systems will move on. Like more people are entering things into the Oracle system or the Teradata system or the HDFS. More data's coming in there all the time. I queried it at one point in time. I'd love to kind of make a mart, sort of a data mart of all these things and persist the results. And so what I could do to do that, we stood up something called the data pool. Now these are yet more SQL servers. But in these SQL servers, what we've done is we've got several databases which we call shards, right? Yeah. And it lays the data sort of in a distributed fashion on these so that we can say, go get that data from Oracle, go get that data from SQL Server, go get that data from HDFS, but then put it here. And when you do that, it handles sending that out automatically. But we're not done. Where is that HDFS data? What if I want to use my data science Jupyter Notebooks? What are they hitting? Well, how about if they hit the thing we talked about, Spark? So we've put Spark in this whole system on a node, in a pod, and it runs. And of course, to do that, we had to have storage. So we stood up HDFS. But you'll notice an interesting line there. There's a SQL Server down there. You see that in the storage pool? You guys can see the storage pool's got a SQL Server in it.
And Spark.
And Spark.
Okay.
And they're both connecting to HDFS. Yeah. So how's that working? Well, we've lit up the ability for SQL Server 2019 to talk directly to HDFS using either something called Parquet, P-A-R-Q-U-E-T, Parquet files, or CSVs, comma separated value files. So SQL Server doesn't need to do anything fancy. It knows what those are, and I'll prove it. I'll actually run some queries and we'll put it all together and I'll prove it. Now you'll notice one of those little icons down at the bottom for our storage, our persistent volume storage there. You'll notice that that's darker than the other one. The reason for that is we've actually announced a tiering, the ability for one HDFS system to talk to another one. And we're checking that back into the Apache Foundation and all that. But the idea here is that, let's say I want HDFS data and I'm bringing it in with Spark, maybe it's IoT devices, whatever. My smartwatches are streaming things in, my grocery stores are streaming things in, all that's happening. But let's say that's happening, but then now I want to go get something that's in brand X and they've got an HDFS somewhere. And I want to just connect to it as if it were inside, I can do that too. Wow. So it can bring so many data sources together. This is the big data we talked about. And it's kind of solved in this one diagram. But wait, there's more.
All right.
What would you pay for such a system? For several easy payments of, no, I don't know what the price is going to be. I always get asked. But the next thing we want to do, you got to look at it.
Yes.
And where is SSIS in this? I don't see any SSIS. How do I work? Well, we've got an answer for that too. Basically what we did was we created something called an app pool. And an app pool has within it a full machine learning server if you want. You tell it what you want, it does that. But it stands up a machine learning server. So here's what I could do. I've got my regular OLTP high value data. I'm typing into that, into the master instance. I've got Spark streaming in data. I've got things talking to Polybase over Oracle, and I'm putting it all in the data pool. And I want to use all that to train a machine learning model, because you need lots of data to train the model. Mm-hmm. But when it's done training, you don't need to take that data with you. You just need the model. You just need that little formula to answer classifications we talked about, or predictions. And something needs to answer it. And the ML server can do that. So now your user application simply says, I've got this picture. Is it a poodle or is it a German Shepherd? And you send that to the ML server. You have trained all the images on this big data cluster. You've created a model. It's now being served, and it comes back and goes, that's probably a German Shepherd. And so that's the way that works. Will this person buy my product or not? Is that engine part going to fail within the next 2 weeks? Will this patient need more medications earlier than we thought? And so on. Anything you can do can be done there. But we can also do SSIS jobs. So you can say, I want to run an SSIS job, clean up some data, and it will pop that up, do the work, and then take care of it all by itself. Just handles that. Just really neat. And if you want to put other web apps in there, we'll let you do that too.
So basically, for the predictive stuff, you can also use SSIS somehow to clean the data?
You can, absolutely. And Spark's claim to fame is working with large sets of data and cleaning them up. ETL is like a main use case for Spark as well. Large sets of data.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. Learn more about this and other topics at azure.com/SQLDW.